Hey everyone, Connie here. Welcome to Princess of Gay. We're just going to talk for this video. I just want to touch on a subject that I think about all the time. I've mentioned here probably one or two times. But I feel like I don't talk about enough, and I want to just make a video just going over it and getting it out. So, we have a problem in general society where we tend to over exaggerate on movie, show, games, our thoughts on media. And this is a problem that affects media as a whole because these over exaggerations oftentimes lead to certain media either being canceled and shut down or changed or even can highlight them way past where they would normally be. It changes the trajectory of the media and of media around it because of because of just these overinflated opinions. And mind you, as I always say, you are entitled to your opinion no matter what it is. Every opinion is correct because it's subjective. But there's no doubt that people tend to exaggerate their views on everything, and no matter whether it's good or bad. This is very apparent when it comes to especially superhero media. When you have a new MCU movie out, whether people think it's good or bad, they're going to exaggerate the hell out of their opinions. People who say it's bad are going to act like it's the worst thing ever. They're going to nitpick every little thing and act like it's this mountainous problem that can't be fixed. They're going to look at every issue they can, actively search for every issue they can, just to be able to have their opinion, their criticisms, be as extravagant and long and just intense, I guess, as possible. Because especially for those who do reviews online or just generally talk about media online, it gets them more clicks. It gets them more views when they over exaggerate everything. Because people, for some reason, like that. So, even if a movie, an MCU film comes out that they like, they're going to just ham it up and over exaggerate the good points of it. And I want to make clear, I am not immune to this. I'm not like saying like, oh, other people do this, but not me. No, I do this too. Whenever I watch a movie that I really, really love, I will go crazy about it. And it gets to a point where I do over exaggerate things. Now I and many others usually calm down after time passes. It's like, oh, time has passed. I've calmed down on it. The bad movies may not be as bad as I remember. I was just like in the heat of the moment. The good movies may not be as good as I remember. Certain things may not actually work as well as I thought. And it's like, that's valid. But there are still cases where, even after time passes, people tend to exaggerate a lot of these things. Let's give some examples, though. So, let's give a negative example. And let's go to superhero media, since people love to talk about that. Suicide Squad. The original 2016 Suicide Squad, not the reboot. Well, soft reboot, whatever you want to call it. The 2016 Suicide Squad, in my opinion, is a good movie. Not just passable, but good. Not great, but good. But a lot of people like to rag on it. A lot of people like to hate on it. And the people who hate on it really hate on it. They act like it's one of the worst superhero films. And you could say the same about Batman v Superman or Justice League. And they take the issues that these movies can have and blow them up. They make mountains out of molehills and act like they're the worst things ever, and they ruin the viewing experience. And here's the thing, if you don't like it, again, that's fine. That opinion is perfectly valid. You are allowed to have it, and you are allowed to believe that. Anyone who says otherwise can honestly go fuck themselves. You are allowed to believe whatever you want. You are allowed to not like stuff, and you are allowed to like stuff. And no one has a right to make fun of you for that, to insult you for that, to say that you have bad taste because of that. Because it is opinion. And because it's opinion, it is automatically correct. It can't be wrong because it's opinion. Something that is subjective and that is based on opinion can't be wrong. So, yeah, screw anyone who says that you can't like something or that you shouldn't like or shouldn't dislike something. But the point is, you are allowed to think whatever you want to think about a piece of media. But when you exaggerate things about it because of what, especially before you've even seen the movie, because you've heard what a critic or someone has said, then you tend to skew the future of that movie's series or the industry or the studio behind it. And again, goes for shows and games and stuff as well. Things tend to either have to be changed by the studio or have to be done differently. And a lot of times that can cause the studio to lose a lot of money and cause the people who work on these movies to lose a lot of money that they might have needed. Not everybody who works on these films is rich. Some of the people, especially behind the scenes, just are trying to get by. Keep that in mind. And a lot of these exaggerated opinions will cause other people to not see the movie, or in case of inflated positive opinions, to see the movie, but that's not always a bad thing. But this is mostly talking about when it's the inflated negative opinions. Because it's like a movie will do exceptionally poorly because of other people's opinions. Like someone will choose not to go and see a movie because they heard other people say it's bad, instead of going and forming their own opinions. And that is just always a mistake. That is always a wrong move. To form your opinions based on what other people think, even if that person is someone you respect and whose opinions you tend to agree with a lot of the time, you should always form your own opinions, because even if it's, again, a critic you like and agree with a lot, that doesn't mean you're going to agree with them 100%. You literally can't. That's literally impossible. As human beings, we will not agree with anyone 100% of the time. So you should always give it a chance if you're interested in it in the first place, and not let someone's opinion dictate otherwise. And hopefully then you can enjoy the film. And if you don't, you don't. But at least you gave it a shot, a fair shot. That's why I tend to not listen to reviews or critiques or anything before I see a movie. And that's why I actually actively don't like when a lot of these critics and stuff get to see pre-showings of these films and share their thoughts beforehand. whether it be like an independent critic or even a big like company and group like IGN. When they get to view the media beforehand, their reviews that come out before the actual media is released will skew the viewership or the player base or whatever. It will skew things because there are people who will take their word as the word of God and act like, oh, IGN didn't like this game, I'm not going to like it then. I shouldn't even bother. And that's going to hurt sales. And again, yes, there is the opposite. There is times where this can skew people in the direction of buying and playing it, where it can be positive. But a lot of times, if it's too positive, a lot of studios will like not work on improvement. They'll see like, oh, this is what everyone likes, we're just going to run with this forever and not make any changes or improvements because it's just everybody already thinks it's perfect anyways. And that's not exactly the best attitude to have towards it either, because you should always be looking to improve your work. If you stagnate like that, it's going to get stale and old really fast, and it will turn a lot of people away. That's what a lot of people's issue with the MCU is. A lot of people think it's gotten stale and old, that it just stagnated and is doing the same stuff over and over. I don't personally agree with that, but a lot of people do. And that's valid. I feel like in a lot of cases they had done that, especially in the first few phases. That's the word I was looking for. The first few phases of the MCU. They were doing a lot of the same stuff over and over. And in some cases, they still do. But overall, there is now a lot more new stuff and a lot more changes, a lot more updates to the MCU that they've been running with. And there are some people who don't like that, because it's not the same MCU they fell in love with. It's changed, it's different, and they don't like change. That's a whole different issue, though. But the point is, I really don't like when these overinflated opinions affect things so drastically like this. Because again, they can hurt the people who worked on a project. And especially if the project is smaller, like an indie project, that can really hurt. Because those people definitely aren't rich. Like some indie project on YouTube, for example, if inflated negative opinions hurt the viewership of that, that's going to cause a lot of problems for the people who worked on it. And that's not okay. So you have to be careful about this. And again, I am guilty of this as well. There has been many movies and shows and stuff I've reacted to where I gave some inflated opinions on them. There are some movies that I said that I disliked a lot more than I probably did. And movies that I said I liked a lot more than I probably did. And again, some of that, yes, is going to be the initial hype. I've talked about this in plenty of videos, but when you're watching something and you just finished watching it, yeah, your opinions are going to be a little inflated. And sometimes it might be better to wait a little bit before sharing your opinions to give yourself time to think more. And I've talked about that in videos as well. I've talked about seeing episodes or movies or something. It's like, I can't really judge this right now. I need to give it some thought and come back to it later. But a lot of the times I will give my opinions. Most of the time I will. And a lot of times it will be inflated. And then when I come back to it at a later time, it's like, oh yeah, my opinions have cooled down one way or the other in regards to this movie, this show, this game, whatever else. And sometimes they don't. And when they don't, it's like, that's just my opinion then. You can usually tell when that happens, when you don't really cool down from that and your opinion is just as strong. That's just your opinion on it. But giving it time allows you to really know for sure if it's just your opinion or if you are overinflating it, even if just accidentally. And this really comes into effect when you see, again, a lot of these online reviewers. Because a lot of these, like, YouTube reviewers and whatnot, will very much over exaggerate everything to get views. And it works. Like I said before, it works, and that's what sucks the most. Because they're going to get those views just by being over exaggerated. Or at the very least, using clickbaity titles and videos. It's like, oh, and thumbnails and whatnot. Like having a thumbnail and a video title saying, like, this movie's the worst thing ever. Even if they say in the review, like, oh, it's not really the worst thing ever, but it has a lot of issues. Even if they say it in the review, they're still getting clicks based on this overinflated opinion that a lot of people are going to flock to, and a lot of people are going to, start to believe themselves over what's even said in the video. It's really sad. It causes so much skewing of the industries and how they put out more games and movies and shows in the future. And hopefully, one of these days, this will start to die down. And we'll start to value and acknowledge, more genuine, like, calm down opinions regarding this media. And again, even for myself, even for, like, basically no names like me, we need to calm down on it too, because even though we don't have a large audience absorbing our every word, anyone could come across our videos. It could still happen. So I wanted to make this video just to talk about this. Just to get my thoughts out here and explain why this can sometimes be bad. Why it can affect the media industries on how things are made in the future even. And hopefully things get better. And I always try on this channel to give just my genuine in the moment thoughts, and I will probably continue to. But I also try to temper those thoughts and acknowledge, at least, that this is just my opinion at the moment. It can change. It might not be as strong later down the road on second and third and fourth viewings and stuff. So my opinions will change as time goes along. I hope that my views on this are understood. I hope that you guys get where I'm coming from. And I'd love to hear your views on this kind of topic. What do you think of how the internet, basically, is what it comes down to, has inflated the opinions on media out there, has caused a lot of these movies, shows, and games to suffer because of people latching onto these inflated opinions without forming their own thoughts. Tell me your thoughts on all of this and more in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie. I'm signing off. See y'all next time.